Hello investors, hello warriors, welcome back to the Christian Market Watch, and boy oh boy, we have a lot to cover today. I hope you'll stick with me through to the end of it. We are going to look at it in a couple different segments. We are going to quickly look at economic news, and then we'll switch to look at the markets and how everything's performing. And then we'll talk about a little bit of how do we cope with all of that and give us a bit of inspiration and encouragement towards the end. So stick with us to the end and let's go. There's a lot of fear at the moment in the markets. Okay? We're just short of extreme fear levels. And I saw this article from Zero Hedge that really sums up everything that we're going to look at today. There's a lot of panic, there's a lot of depression. People put their life savings into the markets, and markets been down a lot during the weekend, the last 3 days or so. And expecting more bad news to come this coming Wednesday when the Fed has their monthly meeting, and all the analysts are expecting the Fed to increase interest rates by 0.5%. This is in the US, and also another 0.5% in July. And so we are waiting by Wednesday, US time, probably Thursday, Australian time, to hear back on what is the interest rates that the Fed has decided to choose. If interest rates are about 0.5%, seeing as how everyone reacted today, there might be a bit of a small downturn, but if it's more than that, you can expect the investors to panic a lot more. And so we're probably expecting more sell-off if the news comes back worse than before. There's a lot of bad news lately, but everyone who dies out there dies of confusion. That's what it's really saying. In this article, basically saying that even in a panic, when investors are making what seems to them like what's logical, but from an outsider's perspective, from someone who's not panicking, you look at the person in their logical mindset and you go, actually, you're not being that logical. So I just want to remind us that what seems logical to us at the moment, maybe a lot of investors are panicking and trying to find a way to preserve the value of the portfolios and whether to sell or not to sell, which asset to switch to, whatever. I just say calm down and breathe a little bit. And I know that things are very crazy, but we need to keep our head together. We need to stick to the facts. We need to use the metrics and make decisions based on that, based on the plans that we've already had. Because you and I, this is not the first day that this is happening. We knew the inflation was coming already, and it's going to be worse than anyone expects because no one is really facing up to the reality about all the money printing and about all the human-made energy crisis. Human-made. Make no mistake about that. None of this is natural, and a lot of businesses are starting to feel the pain now, but it's reminding us maybe some of the decisions we're making are being swayed about left and right by other people or other articles or parties that are telling us what they want to see in the market. Maybe they're using words to manipulate us. We need to be aware of that and not buy in to any of these propaganda ministry. Okay, so, and I just want to remind us using Yeshua's words here. John chapter 16, this is the NIV version. I've told you these things so that in me you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world. And if this is not the most encouraging thing you've heard lately, who else gives us good news like this? Is that in Yeshua we can have peace. In Yeshua we have a vantage point that we can look down at the world and know that it's chaotic. And rather than panicking like everyone is, we can systematically take problems and work through solutions as to how to deal with them, because we have Yeshua's peace in us, knowing that he has conquered the world. He is still ruling the world right now and is consecutively, step by step, making his kingdom come onto this world. And then we will have even more world peace. And so I just want to remind us of the different kind of peace. It's not the world's sense of everything's going well kind of peace, but it's a peace that can thrive through troubled times and know that our lives hasn't fallen apart. I am the vine, you are the branches. John 15, Yeshua says, if you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. And if you do not remain in me, you are like a branch that is thrown away and withers. Such branches are picked up, thrown into the fire, and burned. If you remain in me and my words remain in you, Ask whatever you wish. That does include financially, okay? And it will be done for you. This is to my Father's glory, that you bear much fruit, showing yourselves to be my disciples. And I just want to remind everyone that our financial situation is one that God cares about. Maybe we can ask him for wisdom as to how to deal with this so that we don't lose our net worth and our wealth, and we can really be humble before him and take the directions that he is pointing us towards, because he's our shepherd. He knows that we need to eat. He knows that we need the next meal. That's why, heeding his words, I already told you before all of this bad news came out this last 3 days. I told you days ago that start preparing for the recession, because we heed God's words and we see these things coming. We see inflation and hyperinflation coming. We see recessions coming, and therefore we just begin to prepare, just like Joseph did. In the 7 good years, he prepared for 7 bad years. And I know I started in the last video on the warning for recession ahead, and then the other video about how to prepare for it. So if you haven't seen those 2 videos, I really encourage you, please, to watch it and share that with everyone. And yesterday I also published the video about home loans in Australia and the interest rate hikes, and what that would mean for you and your family's home loans, and how much pre-tax salary increase you would actually need just to break even, just so that you know. And I adjusted that for inflation as well. So if you haven't watched that and you have a home loan, please watch it and try and grasp what that's all trying to say, and what that really means for you. I try to put it in very simple, easy to understand terms, so that you don't need to have any background to be able to understand what that means for you yourself. So I hope that those 3 videos, I'll put the 3 videos link in the description below. I hope that you will really go and watch it and digest it. Take your time to understand it and do your own preparations. The spreadsheet for that pay calculator, inflation, home loan increase calculator, is available in that video in the description there. So I highly encourage you to download that, plug in your own numbers, and see what that means for you, okay? As the Father has loved me, so I have loved you. Now remain in my love. Here's a call to all believers out there. If you have once experienced God's love, please now remain in my love. This is a very, very firm and gentle way of reminding us, don't leave me. Is Yeshua your God. Keep my commandments. Remain in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commands and remain in his love. Stay in me. Don't sin just because the circumstances are evil. Prove that you are an overcomer that rises out of that occasion as loyal to my name, the name that I have placed upon you as my children. This is what Yeshua's heart. I have told you this so that my joy may be in you, and that your joy may be complete, so that together, while we're sinless and navigating these tough terrains, that we continue to have joy and know that everything we do is done out of a great conscience, and that nothing can stand and accuse us, because we have done absolutely the best we can to prepare for all of this. And when we help each other and prompt others to take action as well, keeping all the reserves, like all my rice reserves, I'll just go grab it. I've been stocking up on rice, and I kept buying more and more to cater for 3 years worth, and quite enough. Today we hear President Zelensky tell the whole world that Ukraine's not able to ship out more rice and grains out of the country because of Russian troops blocking the Black Sea. So, you really want to start stocking out all these things. Thankfully, I actually found milk powder. I'm like, oh, we don't have a shortage of that here in Aldi. So small mercies, let's just keep stocking up and preparing for our family's needs, because at the very least we know that prices are gonna keep going up. And even if we don't have the most severe of the famine hitting us, at least we know that we have hedged our prices down at today's level, and not in 3 months times level, where prices are going to be higher in an inflationary circumstance. If price doesn't go higher, then it's the same price, so that's all right. So let's continue to do that and share these information with each other as a sign of our love for each other. I love you guys, and out of everything that I share with you, I really share with you everything I would personally do, and everything out of my heart to want the best for you. I don't want you to be caught out in these situations. Food prices are soaring, rice could be next, as we just talked about. The world faces severe food crisis and famine, says Zelensky. We're just going through these headlines here real quick. And food inflation year over year that we saw from Fox Business News. Meat is up 12.3%, eggs 32.2%, fish 12.2%, milk 15.9%, fruit and veg 8.2%, coffee 15.3%. Now that is in the US. In Australia, what I'm really noticing for myself when I went to the shops last week is meat is up 50%, eggs is about 30%, that sounds about right. Fish, yeah, maybe about 12%. I'm seeing it quite the same at the moment, but I'm talking about frozen fish. I haven't looked at the fresh food section. Milk is up about 25% where I am. Fruits and veg is actually up more like 40 to 50% at the moment. It's really crazy. In my whole entire life, I had never ever met a situation like this, and that's why I keep texting all of my friends and reminding them day in, day out. Every single time I post a video, I remind them, hey, can you please watch this, just as a way to remind you about the realities that we're currently living in. We are in a crisis to crisis economy with an ever soaring inflation and hyperinflation. We cannot act like everything's okay, and we cannot act like the days where everything was fine. We cannot do that anymore. So we need to learn to cope with the situation, and we will do actions that will be responsible and appropriate for these times for us and all of our households. I hope that you are making the right decisions to prepare for your household every single day. Oil wars are happening at the moment, and it's a bit of a Saudi Arabia versus Russia oil. So with China and India continuing to buy Russian oil, which is apparently at record discounts. That would be very interesting, because if Russia has to discount a lot of its oil prices, maybe it's also not gaining the profits in that way. Businesses like Macca's is actually shrinking its menu and gives up on the healthier foods options to drive profit, because basically they're feeling the pinch. What we need to realize is, if even Macca's is shrinking its menu, maybe we should do the same. We should cut on our spending and really treat each dollar that we earn as something that we need to wisely decide how to allocate it for. We can't just eat out as we wish, or waste it on subscriptions for Netflix. We need to really think about how we're using each dollar that God has given us, because you don't know that you don't need it in a hyperinflation situation. And we know all this inflation and stock market crashing, oil wars, this cerveza sickness, now this monkeypox, all of these are basically the same narrative. So let's not get too confused here. Unlike the rest of the people, they're coping with things at a issue by issue basis, right? So like, oh, now there's monkeypox, now we have to deal with that. Oh, now there's a food war, now we have to deal with that. Oh, now there's a famine, we're gonna deal with that. And oh, now here's the energy crisis, we have to deal with that. As if they never saw it coming. But you and I are different. You and I already knew where this is heading and where it came from. We know it came from the demonic angels and their insistence on destroying the world. And they have people on earth who obey the principalities that's in the air and really want to push the agenda so that by 2030, we will have nothing, but we will be happy. And what it looks like is a labor market that is filled with people who are working out of necessity at very low income, that they can't use it to spend it on anything discretionary. And that's why all the stock market and anything that has wealth, anything that's an asset at the moment, is being attacked, so that people will lose their wealth, so that people will own nothing and have to depend on the system, which is run by the governments and the big banks and central banking, and also definitely incited by the evil spirits and the zeitgeist of the mid-air. But we knew that already. This is all coming to a situation where people will live in such darkness and dark times. There'll be wars, and there'll be famines, and there'll be rumors of wars, there'll be earthquakes and other natural disasters, as Yeshua promised us. All these things must happen for the end to come. notice that if they don't come, then God's history is not progressing, and we're in this forever never-ending cycle of sin and death and sin and death, and there's no salvation out of it. But you and I, we have the word of God, we have the redemption of God, we have the deliverance of God, and God promises to give us daily grace, not just the grace that is how we had our salvation, but the daily grace to tide us through the tough times, tide us through each day. And that is in 1 Peter chapter 4 and 5. If you want to go and read that, that was such an encouragement to me. And now in Australia, we're already starting to see things fall into place as to the future chapter of how things are going to play out in amongst all of this confusion, inflation, stock market crashing, and all of these chaos that's happening. Let's go and have a look at it. So right here, Centrelink has this new employment service program, and what it is it's gonna have a point system so that you can earn points by doing different tasks, and slowly they're training up the people who need government money the most how to earn points, so that they can even get their payout and government support for unemployment and things like that. And this is the beginning. This is the first step of universal basic income that has been, like, it's a long time waiting, almost prophetic, you know. We know that this is the beginning of how they're gonna institute the new world order system, how that's gonna track everything that you do and let you earn points, and only when you're doing good behavior will you get paid your universal basic income, or will your wallet or your crypto wallet not be penalized. So this is sort of like the new world order type of system that Centrelink is now putting in place. I just want to give everyone a heads up. This is very preliminary stages. I wouldn't be surprised if in the next 2 to 4 years these things become mainstream, and then it might end up being how we are all employed. Who knows? So we'll keep watching out for that. This is the beginning of it though. Oh, but wait, there is more. We are going to go and have a look at the markets right now, and we're gonna check out all of the volatile movements in the last 3 to 4 days. The ASX 200 has taken the nosedive. The RBA increased interest rates. So analysts already started to price that in on the 8th and on the 9th was when it was announced. And after today, it's just gone plonk and all the way down. So day on day, it seems like it's a 1.25%, but from its all-time highs, if I just go all here and find this number right there, it's about 75.13. Oh, this is not bear market. Bear market's the definition of that is that we dropped 20% from an all-time high. So we're not at that yet. But we need to just keep an eye out for it. I don't know if the US news on Wednesday, the Federal Reserve Bank in the US raising potentially interest rates is gonna cause it to fall further or not, but I would just say that let's keep a keen lookout these couple days, because this week is just gonna be volatile just like last week was. The Dow Jones Industrial Average has been down 2.73%. 880 points. That is a lot. As you can see, it has basically wiped off all of the increases that we had in June. Right here, this little peak here is all back down because of all of this inflation fears, and also reserve banks increasing interest rates and CPI being higher than expected. That was the other news that came in last week. It's at 8.6%. Analysts were expecting at most of 8.5%, so it's worse than expected. So yeah, the market's not reacting well at the moment, but this is still not bear market levels. The bear market level number to look for is 29439. So when it's about 29.4 grand, that's when we know things are getting really bad in the Dow Jones. So you want to keep out for that. I wouldn't be putting any long positions up here to bet on it rising, because I think we are really heading towards a severe recession. Probably there's a lot more downward price action, quite obvious to everyone by now, I hope. Very, very similar story to the SP500 index. What we have here right now is also wiped off most of the increases that June has seen, even though we're not all the way back yet, all the way to its lows. Right now we're at 4,017, and the number that you want to be looking out for in the S&P 500 is 3856, and that would be 20% off the January high. So which is this one right here, okay? So you definitely want to be looking out for the number. That's 3856. That is the bear market indicator, being 20% off the high. Yeah, let's watch out for that. We're actually in the bear market for the Nasdaq, because the bear market indicator from this peak here is actually 12845. So about the 12,000, almost 13,000, that was the 20% level. We're definitely much lower below that right now. I'm hoping it doesn't keep dropping too much, but I'm not keeping my hopes up too high, to be honest, because everyone is expecting an interest rate increase by the Fed this coming Wednesday. Onto Bitcoin, you know how Bitcoin was hovering between these ranges. We were trading up and down, up and down. Right now it's well and truly dropped. Actually, just in the last 1 day or so, it dropped by another 2 grand. So it was at 30,000, and then the first day, so day before that, it dropped about 2 grand, and then it dropped another 2 grand. So yeah, we're really feeling the pain right now. And as you know, crypto is a very, very volatile space. So all the investors out there, please watch out for that one and take the necessary action. Bitcoin at the moment, we know, is functioning more like a tech stock. So yeah, basically it will reflect whatever is happening in the stock market, not like gold. And moving on to gold, when gold was going down, and I told you guys that it's a false decline, because basically with all of the inflation happening, investors were just confused and they didn't know where to put their money. So you probably want to be heavier on gold during an inflationary time, as we have seen. Crude oil was actually at 121 yesterday, and right now it's pulled back, but only slightly. We can see the overall trend. It's just been going up as we're in an energy crisis, as we know. So I hope that's helped you. If that did, please hit the like and subscribe button, and definitely share it with a friend who needs to hear this information. I'm really surprised at how many people that are walking around in the shops, on the streets, who don't know these, and then they're really panicked and they're really worried about what is going on to their wallets and their paychecks, and why can't they make all these bills meet, and why do they have to buy only half the food that they went into the shops for. And I really think that now, more critically than ever, people need to hear this news. So please, 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 if you have someone that you care about who doesn't have the financial knowledge, please share it with them. Please don't keep these good things to yourselves. Please share it. Right now is a time when people are hurting. People need to hear this, and I hope that you share it with them. God bless you, and see you in the next video.